boys and girls, and welcome to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and this is the review of the season 1 finale, or in my humble opinion, the serious finale of The Acolyte, a show that has divided Star Wars fans all around the world. Well, no, divided is the wrong word, because I think we're all on the same page. I think everybody everybody feels the same way about The Acolyte. It's not good. And we get to the season finale, and you know, besides the epic lightsaber battle that was in the middle of the episode, this was bad. It ended bad. It the show started off decent, in my opinion. I know a lot of people didn't like it from jump, and I can respect that. I can see where people wasn't responsive to that first 2 or 3 episodes. I enjoyed the first 2 or 3 episodes because I thought it was building to something. Unfortunately, as the season progressed, it built to nothing. This show manages to do something I have never seen in television or film. And what it achieved was simply amazing. I guess I should tip my hat to that. I should tip my hat to this show accomplishing something that was unheard of, something that I never thought it was possible. It pulled off a switcheroo, but at the same time, the show ended the same way it started. After going through all what we went through for these 8 episodes, it basically ended in the exact same spot. It was infuriating to watch that final episode. It really made me want to throw something at the TV. I was that mad. And I knew it wasn't going to stick the landing. They proved that for 5 or 6 weeks straight. It was like, this show is what it is. There's no putting lipstick on this pig. I don't understand how this show got greenlit. And all respect to everybody who worked on this show. You know, I fully understand that filmmaking, producing television shows is a tall task. It's not easy. You know, for the actors, the writers, the directors, the production staff, it's hard. It's hard to put, especially a show like this together. And so I respect the work that they did. It's just the finished product did not deliver. The Acolyte was a mess. It was a mess. I'm not going to say from start to finish, but yeah, I guess I could say start to finish. It was clunky in the beginning, but I gave the clunkiness the benefit of the doubt because we were telling a kind of story where the narrator was unreliable, I guess you could say. You know, you didn't know who to trust, who was who, and what side this person was on, or who was the Acolyte, or was. We still don't know who the Acolyte is. You know, what is an Acolyte? What's there's more than meets the eye when it comes to this show. But when we get to this season finale, it only strengthened the belief that this show needed at least 3 or 4 passovers on the script. You know, it needed somebody to look at that script and say, you know what? We need to tweak something here. We need to change something here. Maybe add a scene here, or take a scene out here. You know, somebody who knew what they were talking about, knew what they were doing as far as Star Wars lore is concerned, and fix this. I don't know how this got greenlit. Now, this is spoilers. I'm going to talk spoilers, of course, as we did every episode. And so you've been fair warned if you care. I watch the show and I don't care. But this show had the audacity to have 2 cameos in this final episode that was supposed to be jaw dropping. It was supposed to incite joy in the Star Wars fandom, but it worked the complete opposite for me. What it did was made me even more angry when when it happened. Especially one in particular showed up. I was like, "What? Why? What was the point? What was the point of having him in this show?" Well, let's go through this episode and get out of here. Uh, I suppose we're supposed to be surprised at the end when Osha turns to the dark side in this episode, and that May, she decides to get her memory wiped, and I guess be atoned for her sins, and now she's with the Jedi, and that's where I say that this show started and ended in the same way. It started with May being the Acolyte, I guess, and killing Jedi, and it ended with Osha being the Acolyte and killing Jedi and turning to the dark side. It made no sense, man. It was like, man, what was the point of this journey? There is no journey. Nobody changed. I mean, Osha really didn't change. The character didn't really change. May change, but she changed because she had amnesia. She had a memory wiped. So it wasn't like it was a self-discovery journey that she went on and she realized, oh shucks, golly gee, you know what? I'm gonna change. I'm gonna start going to church. I'm gonna, it was none of that. She had to get her mind wiped. But let's break down this whole season. You can't just narrow it down to this one episode. Let's break it down to one season here. This show, it was like hell bent on portraying the Jedi as the bad guys, it just shined them in the worst possible light possible. It was from beginning to end. We never really got behind anybody as far as a Jedi is concerned. You didn't develop no characters behind these Jedi other than Saul, and then you turn around and you kill him in the end. You know, that the one person that you can cheer for, but you cheering for a man that unjustly killed a woman. You know, he killed the mother of Osha and May. You know, and unexcusable, and covered it up, which the saying is true. The cover up is worse than the crime. Yes, that was worse. The fact that you didn't tell anybody, you know, that you pranced around like you so holy, and come to find out you was the worst one of them all. You killed their mother. You know, out of all those Jedi that was stationed on Brindok, and you know, you still wanted to pull for Saul, but you still killed him. You know, and he truly thought he was doing the right thing. But even he didn't learn he was doing that he was wrong for what he did. You know, he didn't have a come to Jesus moment. Like, oh man, I do deserve this. I guess he did. Let me take that back before people start flipping out. I guess he did while he was being force choked to death. He did tell Osha it's okay. You know, he knew he was, well, at that point he knew he was going to die anyway. So I guess he just went ahead and accepted it. But that it was just then when he accepted his fate. And oh man, it was just, ooh, this show, bro. This show. Speaking of that, Osha all of a sudden is one of the most powerful force users in the galaxy. All of a sudden. Now, look, the only person that we've known in the Star Wars lore, and I could be wrong. I know I haven't read the novels. I haven't watched all of the animated series. I did watch Clone Wars to a degree, but my memory of that show is not as strong, so I can't tell you if it happened on that show or not. But the only other person I know who can force choke anybody is Darth Vader. He's the only one that I know that's that powerful to do that. And he was a Jedi. Then he turned into a Sith. All of a sudden, not May, Osha, she she developed this power. Now she's okay. She's that strong. Now there were seeds of her being able to use the Force throughout the show. You know, we saw it when she was a young girl and she was playing with that little mutated butterfly or whatever it was when she was on her home world. And okay, cool. But there were periods throughout the show when she could have used the Force and she didn't, or she couldn't. She was trying and she couldn't. But now all of a sudden, I guess since she embraced the dark side, she's more powerful and she was able to do what she did. But with that being said, May embraced the dark side. She wasn't that powerful. And to be honest with you, I don't recall May using the Force at all. I can't think of a point throughout this season where I saw May use the Force. I could be wrong. It could have happened. This season was very forgettable, and so charge it to my brain, not my heart. But this was so inconsistent, and that's one of the other notes of this show. This was the most inconsistent show I have ever watched. From week to week, I mean, episode to episode, character motivations change, and sometimes it's in the same episode. It doesn't have to wait a week to change. It changes in the same episode. I'm like, man, this cannot be happening right now. It is no way that somebody can flip on a dime for no reason, and it's unexplained. Look, I really don't have much to say about this show, other than the fact that it is frustrating. Other than the fact that if they truly are going to make a season 2, which they clearly set up for, 9 times out of 10, I will not be watching it. I would not be watching that show. It's boring. And it's boring bad. This episode had one of the most epic lightsaber battles I've seen in Star Wars. I'm going to give it that. That was an awesome fight scene between Kumar and Saul on Brindok. That was amazing. I even like the camera work, how they were intercutting between those two and the fight between Osha and May. And it was nice. It was choreographed very well, edited very well. Just in that section, that was the best part of this episode. But it wasn't enough, man. That was like spraying perfume on cow manure. It just didn't. It is what it didn't hide the fact that it's cow crap. This show is cow crap. It is so bad. Then they had the audacity to end this season on a cliffhanger. And I'm like, I'm out. I'm done. It could come out with a season 2, and you all will have to let me know if it was good or not. Oh, they made up for it. They made up for it, Kevin. Trust me. Go watch it. You're gonna have to tell me. I will not be watching season 2 if they actually greenlight it, which I seriously doubt, because the viewership numbers on this show is horrible, and and the only reason I kept watching is because I do this show. It's because I dedicated to review each episode every week. And I was regretting that for like 2 to 3 weeks, including this one. It was very tough to get through this season. But to get to the season finale, where you normally get questions answered, to have 50 additional questions risen is so bad of a show. Even if you knew you was going to get a season 2, that is not good storytelling. That is not how you run a show. That is not how you. I don't care if it's Star Wars, Marvel, the Teletubbies. I don't care what show it is. You don't do that. You do not leave people like that. And then they and this is my final point, and I'm gonna get up out of here. Then when I talk about the cliffhanger that they left you on, it was the big cameo at the end when Vanestra comes out, enters this room and wants to talk to her master. Like, master, we need to speak. And you see the green pointy ears pop up, and it's Yoda, and it goes off. Why? Why? Explain this. Explain this. Now, don't get me wrong. If anybody was going to be around at this point in time from the Skywalker era, it would be Yoda, because Yoda is old as Methuselah. So he would have been alive around this time. But tying in Yoda and basically tying this story into the rest of the Star Wars lore was just a cheap pop to me. That was just a way to get pander to the fans, I felt like. Because it's like, for what? What was the point of this, man? And then you're not getting away. I felt like you weren't getting away from the Skywalker saga. We cannot get away from the Skywalker saga to save our lives in Star Wars. It's Star Wars. There are many planets. There are many galaxies. There are many stories to be told that doesn't have to involve Anakin, Luke, Leia, Han Solo, Chewie. It doesn't have to involve all of them to tell a Star Wars story. That's where The Mandalorian messed up. The Mandalorian was standing alone, doing his thing, and it was great. And I still love that show. But once they infused Luke Skywalker into the equation, it kind of took a step back to me. It wasn't as good. Now, you can make the argument, well, he had a baby Yoda, but it isn't Yoda, it's Goguru, but it's, yeah, that probably was a form of pandering, but no, I don't feel it was. It's different. But once they included Skywalker, it really took a step back to me. And other properties do that as well. And I don't feel you need to do that in Star Wars. Star Wars tells it's really some good stories there. Andor was a really good show. And it was a grounded Star Wars story. It was a gritty Star Wars story that didn't have to include lightsabers and Death Stars and all this here, even though it does lead up to that, but that's besides the point. This show was bad. It was not a good show. This season, I'm really disappointed in the Acolyte. I mean, I'm so mad I can't even talk. It's that bad. It's like, what can I? Because I didn't want to get on here and just go scorched earth on this show. I wanted to point out some good things, but I couldn't find any. I honestly couldn't find any other than that lightsaber fight. And I'm just talking about this episode here. I couldn't find anything. Everything else was just jammed in there. It felt like a rushed episode, to kind of end it. I think they would have served better by ending it last week. And last week felt more like a series finale or a season finale than this week did. This week just felt like they had some footage left from filming, and just put it together and threw it on Disney Plus for us. But I'm very disappointed in this show, and I didn't give grades for every episode of the season, but I will give a grade for the entire season 1 of the Acolyte, and it gets a lot of grades of a D plus. It was really bad. Just super inconsistent, man. And I think it was so bad. I'm gonna settle on this. This is my true feelings about the Acolyte as a whole. This was an excellent idea. This was an A plus idea. It was an F execution. And when you add them all together, you get a D plus. The idea is perfect. Jedi killer killing Jedi. Jedi are hunting them. Great idea. How this was executed was not. This plot, this coup, this cover up, and the two twins that aren't really twins. They're the same person split in two, and uh, the Kumar, his story, and which we don't nothing about no more. Well, we do find out that he was the pupil of Vernestra. We found that out, even though they had zero interaction. Um, even though I theorized that because the webs on his back look like a whip, and we know that Vernestra has a lightsaber whip, and so that that was pretty easy to pick out. But you also had that, I guess it was a witch or something, when it was on that planet earlier in this episode when Ausha and Kumar leave, and you see this witch come out of the cave, just this deformed looking thing. I'm assuming that was the other mother on Brindok, that we never saw die. We never saw a body of. I'm assuming that was her, but that's the only time you saw her. That's the only time that was explained. We don't know anything. This was so bad. Let me get out of here. But I would love to know, what do you think of the Acolyte? What's your true feelings of it? Were you like me and just disgusted with it, or did you check out episode 3 and said I'm good, or episode 1 and I'm good, or in a rare occasion, do you think this show was good? Well, I can see where a lot of people would find things in it that's enjoyable. I found things in it that's enjoyable. It just wasn't enough to make it enjoyable. But I would love to know your thoughts. Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. Also, look for the show on all social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network. Don't forget to subscribe to the KB Radio Network channel on YouTube, and like this video if you don't mind. Don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the Concession Stand. Everybody, thank you for joining me these past 8 weeks or 7 weeks, however long it's been. It feels like a year for the review of season 1 of the Acolyte. I would say that, Van, I'm gonna miss reviewing these shows, but that'll be a lie. I do not miss them. This was a bad show, but have no fear. We have other TV shows and films that we review here on the Concession Stand that you can enjoy going forward, and past episodes as well. Want you all to know that I love you. Continue to love everyone, and until we speak again, you all be blessed.